2026 to order. Can we please all rise if you could for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Kat. Thank you for being here as well for Liz. We really appreciate it. Keeping Liz in good spirits today as she's having surgery done. Okay, so we got this meeting called to order. Grace, can we have roll call, please?
Mike Nichols.
Here.
Scott Highlander. Sam Payne. Isaac Chavez.
Present.
Charles Bates.
Here. All right, we'll take a look at the minutes from April 23rd. Once you have a minute to review those, I will call for a motion. We should be able to pass these. Everybody was here. I will now go ahead and open a motion to the board for minutes on April 23rd.
I make the motion we approve the minutes.
Second.
All right, your first and a second. We have roll call, please.
Mike Nichols.
Aye.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Charles Bates.
Aye. First time we don't have pending minutes.
I know. Good start. All right, before we hear any of the petitions today, just double checking with the board that we have no conflict of interest. They are able to move forward. Hearing none, we will do so. All right, any of the petitions being heard today, just double checking that there's no one been contacted for tonight's meeting. All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and take a look at new business. We'll take a look at public hearing docket number 2026-010. The petitioner is Shane Sigler. He's requesting a development standard variance for an impervious surface ratio. Ms. Cat Bell, can we please have the staff report?
Sure. So the applicant, as you said, is Shane Ziegler, address 851 Burlington Avenue, Frankfort. He's requesting a developmental standard variance from UDO 304 to allow the site to have an impervious surface ratio of 45% instead of the permitted 30%. This property is zoned A residential and is a conforming single-family dwelling use in the zoning district. The property to the north, west, and south are all zoned A residential also. To the east is city property zoned general business. This site is on the east side of Burlington Avenue between Green Street and Washington Avenue. There is a roughly 1,000 square foot single family dwelling on the lot that was built in 1948 and a 700 square foot detached garage was added in 1993. The property is legal, non-conforming with regard to impervious surface, as it had 42% covered when the city adopted the impervious surface regulation in 2023. The applicant wants to add now an 8 foot by 12 foot shed to the property behind the garage. He is planning to remove a gravel pad at the front of the lot to prevent his total impervious surface amount from increasing. But as the shed is a new impervious surface area, it will still increase the site up to 45%. The variance is needed in order for the applicant to add the shed. And you'll see on page 2 there's been some like a parcel and zoning map added, and then also photo of an aerial of the property. As you can see at the front of that by Burlington Avenue, they have marked out where the gravel pad is. That is noted that it will be removed if this is granted, so they can put the shed in. On page 3, you see a couple photos of the property. One looking from Burlington Avenue and then the one from the backyard. So according to UDO 304, impervious surface permitted to be no more than 30%. When determining a variance according to UDO 203.12, three findings must exist in order to grant that variance. So, finding number one, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. So Dan Sheets, the Clinton County surveyor, has stated that there are no drainage concerns created by granting the requested variance, and nothing injurious would appear to be created. So therefore, it appears that this finding is met. Number two, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Given that the county surveyor feels that granting the variance will not create any additional water runoff concerns, it would not seem that the adjacent properties will be adversely affected. So therefore, it appears this finding is also met. And then number three, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. So if this variance were granted, was not to be granted, I'm sorry. There is not an area on this lot that would meet setbacks and not be in a way that the garage doors were where a shed could be placed. The applicant is doing what he can by removing the gravel pad at the front in order to compensate for the shed, so that the total effect after the variance is only minimally increased. There is no way to add anything on this lot without needing an impervious surface variance. So therefore, this finding also appears to be met. Consequently, staff does recommend to approve the developmental standards variance from UDO 303 to 304 to allow up to 45% of the lot to be covered with impervious surface, with the condition that this would be after the gravel at the front is removed, then the shed can be placed there.
Thank you, Kat. At this time, we'll have Shane come up for any additional comments. No, don't have any. Have any questions for Shane? Okay. Thank you. All right, we have any questions for the public? We'll open discussion. All right, hearing none, we'll close public discussion. At this time, we'll open discussion for the board. Any further comments or questions?
I just had one quick question that's not obvious in the pictures. I assume that there's an alleyway goes to the back of the lot that they access the garage from.
That
I believe
alley
so.
comes off of the street department road, I believe. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
And is that called Frankfurt Street Department Road or something?
It's called Street Department Road,
Way.
but the alley runs along where the old cooling towers used to be in the back of the city property back there. When I spoke to Dan about this, there was plenty of drainage, everything on the property slopes away. And at the end of the day, yes, you have to go to 45, but then when he takes the pad out, then we're back to right where we was. So it's not really a drainage issue or a surface issue. We're swapping one for the other, is what it really boils down to.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
All right, close discussion for the board. At this time, call for a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve the developmental standard variance from UDO 304 based on the staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Okay, we have first and a second. Roll call, please.
Mike Nichols,
Aye.
Isaac Chavez,
Aye.
Charles Bates.
All right, we'll continue moving forward. Take a look at new business public hearing docket 2026-011. The petitioner is Cern Vardanian with Auto BSA. He's requesting a developmental standard variance for the following. The variance is to allow the placement of a 10-foot fence on a roadside business district. Ms. Campbell, can we please have the staff report?
Yes. This property is zoned roadside business, and the property adjacent to the northern end of this parcel is also zoned roadside business. And the rest of the adjacent property around both sides and the south is zoned A residential. So this site, the petition site is on the south side of East Wabash Street, State Road 28, between Kentwood Drive and South Mash Road. There is a structure, a commercial building on site, about approximately 30,000 square feet. And on May 17th, 2023, the BZA did approve for the use of auto repair and sales. After it was approved, the city allowed the installation of a 10-foot privacy fence around the area to the rear of the building that has cars waiting for repair. But they granted, of course, a variance for them to put that 10-foot fence up. And that was on November 13th, 2024. In both of these meetings, though, the applicant had indicated that he was going to be leaving the natural screening of trees along the west side of the building that was adjacent to the properties there. Recently, though, the applicant removed the area of significant vegetation on the west side of the building. This vegetation had been serving, as I said, as a visual buffer for neighbors along there, as noted in the previous BZA hearings. Consequently, the neighbors called building services with concerns when their buffer area was removed. After the conversation, it seems the best way to resolve the issue is for the applicant to continue the 10-foot fence up along this side as well, where the vegetation was removed to provide screening for the houses that now lack that screening. The applicant is willing to install the 10-foot fence, but it requires for variance through the BZA to allow them to expand that previously approved 10-foot fence along the west side. According to UDO 503.13F, in residential or business districts, no fence, wall, or wall can be higher than 6 feet and may be placed or built or installed in the side and rear setbacks of any lots. No fence or wall of more than 42 inches may be placed, built, or installed within 25 foot of the street right of way in any residential district or general business district, nor within 75 feet of any street right of way in the roadside business district. All fences and walls must be in compliance with the visual clearance area requirements of this ordinance as well. So again, the three findings of, in order to grant a variance, number one, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. So there is already an approved 10-foot fence, privacy fence, around the rest of the side area, and it has not caused injurious situation. In fact, neighbors are asking to have the requested fence installed to provide a solution to the lack of buffer that they now don't have, which is more injurious to the enjoyment of their rear yards than installing the fence would be, with it being open, of course. So this finding appears to be met. And then number two, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected substantially adverse manner. The neighbors are requesting that the taller fence be put in and extended across the backs of their properties in order to improve the use and value of their property more than having slow growing plantings put back in. As like they had before, it would take a significant amount of time for those plantings to mature. So this appears also to be met. Then finally, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. So there's already an existing building here, an existing drive that allows for the vehicles needing to be repaired to be moved to the rear of the property, which when this property was granted the special exception, from what I could tell, find in the file as I was reviewing it before the meeting, the condition of their special exception approval was that the vehicles that are waiting to be repaired have to be parked in the rear. So that's where they need to move the vehicles if they're needing to be repaired. The only place a fence fits is to the west of the drive in the side yard setback. Additionally, a 6-foot fence doesn't provide adequate screening for larger vehicles coming in and out, and also excess lighting coming from the approved business use. Typically, businesses require to have buffers and this, and usually that it can be done with trees, but again, trees would take a long time to get to mature to the point where it would give them the adequate screening that the neighbors are wanting. The neighbors want the fence. The owner is willing to install the fence, but must obtain the requested variance in order to expand to what was already previously granted in 2024. So consequently, staff recommends to approve the developmental variance requested from UDO 503.13F to allow a 10-foot tall privacy fence to be extended up the west side of the building to match the fence on the east side as shown on the site plan.
Thank you, Kat. At this time, we'll have any additional comments from the petitioner, if you have any.
Just one comment, actually, it's not like we're willing to do it, we wanted to do it. That was the whole idea, to remove the trees and put the privacy fence, extend them. The only problem was I didn't know that our previous permit had an expiration date. That's why when we started taking the trees down, because they were dying to begin with, and they were interfering with the operation. So she mentioned that the cars that waiting to be repaired go in the back. And the semi trucks, when they were using the west side of our building, they would get stuck every single time they go there. So that was the whole purpose of it, to extend the fence. But when Rob called, and that's when actually I found out that, that our permit has expired. So, and I stopped doing everything till we have this hearing. So.
Okay.
So that was initially that was the whole idea, to extend the fence. The same fence extend all the way to the.
Comments, question, petitioner? All right. At this time, we'll open discussion to the public. Any comments or concerns from the public? Yeah. Yeah.
I signed up there. I didn't know if I needed to come up here or not. So my name is Steve Steining, and I live at 451 Kentwood Drive. And I think it's safe to say that no other property along this fence is more impacted than ours. We have a large patio. We have an above-ground pool. We entertain a lot. And for 40 years that we've lived there, the beauty of the property has been the privacy that those trees provided. And so now when we walk out the back door, open our curtains in the morning, all we see is a big gray building with 3 large windows in the side. And so I guess that's our biggest concern. So if we're going to go with the fence, because we're not going to live there long enough to benefit from any shrubbery being planted there. But I guess my question is it possible to ask for a 12-foot or higher fence? Because if you come in my backyard and building inspector has been there and you follow the line of the 10-foot fence that already is there, it will only cover about the first maybe 2 feet of those big tall windows there, which would allow, would take away our privacy eventually. So anyway, I didn't know if it was possible to ask, if we're going to do the fence for a 12-foot or higher fence, even though I think you said they had petitioned for a 10-foot. So I don't know where we go with that.
Did you say there's currently a 10-foot fence there?
Yes, from the back of the building to cover the back area where they have the cars that are yet to be worked on. They put that in there to buffer that as well. And so what they're going to do is extend it from there to the front of the property, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. So
So there's a 10-foot fence from the rear of the building further.
back to the retention pond. Yeah. And they're wanting to go from that point to the front of the building.
Which is the same as it is on the other side of the building, correct?
I think that's correct. Yes.
Exactly.
The east side of the building.
Yeah. Right.
And if I may add, those, the windows that you see,
Mhm.
they're actually very high.
Okay.
And I welcome you to our building to take
Okay.
a look at it. They're very high and there is not a chair or anything or
Yeah.
anybody can possibly sit there and.
I'm not accusing anybody of
No,
that.
no, I'm not
just
saying, I'm not saying, I'm just
Yeah, yeah.
for your,
Yeah.
for your conscience, in
Right.
the sense of like, it's just for lights.
Okay.
So pretty much the building itself is closed all around and, we just open some windows, the lights come in. That's all
Okay.
it is. So, but Rob's been there
Yeah,
numerous times.
there is no stairway, no ledge, nothing like that they
There's-
can stand on and take a picture of you guys out there skating.
And I'm not worried about that either. It's just like I said, I failed to bring any pictures, but we can't even see the building with the bushes up there. We couldn't even see the building. And now when you open the curtains, it's just a big gray building now, or when you step into the backyard. And so.
I
anyway.
don't think they make anything bigger than 12 foot, to be honest with you, as
Yeah.
far as the fences go.
Okay.
I don't think they make anything bigger than that.
Mhm.
And the setback with that would be because the 12 foot takes special order, so
Mhm.
it's gonna take significantly more time than the
Mhm.
10 foot that usually
Mhm.
it's more usable for everyone, so.
And that-
special concrete base.
And that's another question I had is how soon are you talking about doing this?
We would have been done if, to be honest with you, if the BZA meeting wasn't in agenda,
Mhm.
because that was the plan. Once we
Mhm.
clear it out, I don't know if you've seen it or not, we have a dumpster already over there, so it's remaining cleaning out and we just order the stuff and start doing it. But
Okay.
when Rob called, I stopped everything literally other than clean up part.
Yeah, because we've got summer coming up here,
Obviously, I mean,
Yeah.
I wanted to do it instantly, as I was telling Rob, but we stopped because he said we gotta go through the meeting. And I mentioned him, I was like, I didn't know our it expired. The whole point was that so the trucks can go in the backside.
Okay, I
And
understand.
especially on Saturdays, we get a lot of people there. And most people come with the kids. Those kids love to run outside.
Mhm.
And, some of the cars that we receive, they would just come right down the middle of the aisle and start unloading the car over there. And that's not what we want. I mean, God forbid something happens, like a injury to a kid or whatnot. I mean, we don't really want to go through that route. So that's the whole idea. So they can come through the west, unload the car and go out from the east. So minimizing all the traffic as possible, as much as possible. So that's the whole idea. I mean, we weren't against the trees or anything like that, but that alley, we had a truck that stuck there for about 4 or 5 hours. We couldn't get
okay.
them out there. So that was the whole point of it.
I'd like to add too that this has been advertised as 10-foot. You could go and grant like 9-foot, but if you want to go more, he's going to have to re-advertise.
I'm having a hard time remembering what kind of fence this was. This like gated fence or wooded fence?
Yeah, it's a metal fence.
Metal
actually.
fence.
And it-
Okay,
it-
all right,
it
that's
looks
I couldn't
nice.
remember.
Metal fence.
Aesthetically, it's nice, but I just don't think it, goes high enough from any point from the pool deck or the patio or even looking out our kitchen window, it barely covers the bottom foot or 2 of those windows. So, but if it involves reapplying and all that stuff, then I'd say go ahead and move forward with the And you already answered my other question about the purpose of the removing the bushes in the first place, because
Yeah, that's, I mean, the
Yeah.
safety, that was the main purpose actually. So,
okay.
because other than that, we don't have any use of the west side, to be honest with you. It's not like somebody's working there all the time. We're doing any kind of a work whatsoever. Nobody's, I mean, rarely you see anybody in there, so.
All right. Okay, I guess that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Steining. Any other comments or questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll close public discussion. At this time, I'll order open further discussion to the board.
It's kind of gonna be directed at Rob. Rob, is there an issue with the 10-foot fence and the power line?
No, on all the power lines are on the east side of the building, along the east side. And you're talking probably 25 to 30 feet underneath that, maybe 20 feet underneath the power lines, maybe 10 or 15 at minimum. But I actually did talk to City Lights Power. I mean, I was there for 31 years. I talked to Philip and Robert. They had zero issue with 10-foot fence going along the east side of the property. And actually, standing on the outside and looking toward the building, the fence looks very nice.
I don't think
It does match the building, but it's not creating a utility issue whatsoever. There is a transformer pole on the west side of the property that comes back off of Wabash. But that is, that's not going to create an issue.
So this picture that I have of the power line on what looks to be the.
Can I come up and see what picture, because I don't have the notes with me.
So this is either taken from the back and then flipped around.
I think it's the back.
But the map. is
But it
showing
shows that
black,
it's,
so I
it
think-
shows,
I'm pretty sure
the
there's a
caption
power
under
line.
there shows that it's,
Yes,
That power line is on the west side of it.
there are power lines on both sides.
Oh.
What used to be the old Marsh and Kroger side, that's where that building is powered from.
Okay.
It's from on the
But
east side
City
of the
Line Power has
building.
no issue with the 10-foot.
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
There is not, this is not going to affect them doing anything because the fence is on the west side of all the poles. So they still have access from the ground up. So for them, yes, there will be no issue with them whatsoever.
And it kind of just thinking about your issue with the height of the building, I don't think any fence that's not over half the height of the building is gonna do any better than, at some point, it's just the triangle of where you stand.
Well, my take on this is the BZA and everybody permitted the whole east side from the front of the building back to where they stopped. They also permitted what is there currently, and it would have, at the end of the day, it probably would have continued and been done, other than removing of the vegetation, which I understand that's an issue. But if they're good with the fence being there, continuing the 10-foot on up to the other side of the front of the building, and it doesn't affect anybody, it doesn't affect the power system, it doesn't affect anything, at the end of the day, it's going to block at least the traffic part of what goes up and down the west side of that building. It may not be what really, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
we get you, we understand.
not gonna block the whole thing, but it's going to at least put a blockage back in there, or a buffer.
This is just a question because I wasn't on the board at the time. If you could speak to it, that's fine if you can. Did the variance to approve the auto repair and sales, just looking at this picture, it counted 75 vehicles back there. Did y'all address anything about not keeping this from being a junkyard versus like a
Wait,
small auto repair?
I think it was 75 overall parking spots, like in the front.
Like if you're just looking at the satellite camera, there's 75 cars in the back. Did we address anything about, like, these have to be vehicles that are not just abandoned and junk vehicles? These have to be repairable vehicles? Like, when y'all address this with the BZA for the auto repair and sales, did y'all put any conditions on that?
I don't,
I'm having a hard time remember.
I don't remember putting any conditions other than it being in the back of the building
Okay.
as opposed to the
Yeah, as long as all
front.
cars were in the back, and I think we tried to put a certain number in the front.
I just noticed that there was 75 vehicles back there.
Yeah.
There are no abandoned cars.
Okay.
Yeah.
So actually, the majority of the vehicles that you see, it's actually the cars are being worked on.
Okay, that's a lot of
They're not
cars.
junk, no.
Oh, okay.
Whatever is junk, the junkyard is actually, I mean, not the junkyard, the metal place is literally a mile away from us. So
Yeah.
that's what they.
Yeah, I think we put as long as any car that was being worked on or it was in the back and covered.
That's the way-
Something along those lines.
That's the way I remember it also. Basically, yeah.
All
It
right.
does look like a lot of cars, but I don't think we put any kind of restriction on that, or that we even could.
Yeah, I do have a copy of the minutes from that May 17th, 2023. That's for the special exception, and the motion was approved. Request to the finding of the staff reports with the condition cars in disrepair must be kept in the rear of the property only. Vehicles for sale may be in the front, and the maximum number of cars for sale, though, would be allowable
Right.
number pursuant the square footage of the lot minus number of spaces required by city ordinance for customer parking.
Right.
Good question.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions, concerns? Hearing none, we'll close board discussion. At this time, I'll open a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the developmental variance request for UDO 503.13F to allow the 10-foot fence to extend to along the west side of the building to the front of the building, which will match the east side, which sounds like it's already been approved in the past.
I'll second.
First and a second, roll call, please.
Mike Nichols,
Aye.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Charles Bates.
Aye.
Motion passes. Any other old business? Kat, you got anything for us? Rob?
That's it.
All right, motion to adjourn.
So motion.
Second.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Everyone be safe getting home.
Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac.
We got to sign anything, Grace?
You forgot to print them?